Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the review of Power of the Doctor. This took a while, didn't it?
Yeah, that'll do it. I'll do it nicely.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, this weekend I think we were treated to probably the best episode of Who for nearly nigh on a decade. I would say 7 years. Since Heaven Sent, I would say, is probably the best Doctor Who episode ever. There will be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen it, I genuinely don't know what you're doing on my channel. But go and watch it because it's worth watching. It's an absolute superb episode of Doctor Who. So with that now in tow, let's get on with the review. The first 5 minutes with John Bishop, Amanda Gill, Jodie on that bullet train. It was a bit messy, a bit clunky, but it was okay. It was decent. It was a good enough start to get the energy up, and because the thing is, the episode entirely moves at 200 mile an hour. The entire episode, you know, it's at breakneck speed. But I'm glad that they got John Bishop out straight away. It was obviously hanging over from Flux what was going to happen to him, because he started off Flux so well, and by the time he got to Legend of the Sea Devils, I genuinely don't know what Doctor Who was going to do with him. So to finish him off early was a very, very smart idea. But then we start getting into the nicks and knacks. You know, there was a cyber-converted planet on the outskirts of Earth during 1916, during the time of Rasputin. Surreal, and I'll tell you, through the whole episode, I think the cinematography and I would say the eerie feeling through the entire episode was fantastic. There was a feeling of threat, and it was coming fast, and that's what you want from Doctor Who. I thought Jodie for the entire episode was brilliant. I think I'll announce my hero of the episode going on towards the end of the video. But it's got to be said, this little bit where everything's going a million miles a minute, we meet not Nissa, we meet Tegan and we meet Ace again, and they've just jumped into their roles like it was 1984 and 1981 all over again. As you know, if you've watched my channel, I'm a massive fan of Tegan and the Fifth Doctor, and to see them again, I had such a big smile on my face. And I've been saying for years that classic Who should be more acknowledged in Doctor Who. I enjoyed the curator bit in Day of the Doctor, but I do think that all of them, like Peter Davison was in this episode, should have been included. I thought the AI that Jodie created between the companions of the threat of the Cybermen and the Daleks was genius, because it was easy to incorporate the older Doctors. You know, when Peter met with Tegan, and when he said Braveheart, I'm not going to lie, I was crying, I'm not going to lie, he's one of my favourite Doctors. If you're wondering why my throat is a little bit dodgy, because during this episode I was chanting like it was a football match, and I had an awful amount of fun watching this episode. It was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If Graham and Ace come together as a couple, I'd be happy with that. I would be really happy with that. But my favourite part of the episode, and I'm going to get so judged for this, it wasn't 5, which I thought it was going to be. My actual favourite bit was the Rasputin, the master dancer as Rasputin, because I'd actually said a couple of days beforehand to a friend of mine who is just as much into Who as I am, And I turned around and I said to them, I said, could you imagine if Sasha dances to Rasputin? I think that would make my night. And they agreed. And then when the music actually kicked off, I was actually dancing in my living room in my 5th Doctor cosplay, which I was going to wear for this video. But unfortunately, I seem to have got coffee on my jumper at some point during the episode. So I'm going to somehow try and get that out. But yeah, it had everything, this episode, and it is probably the best episode of Doctor Who since Heaven Sent. It had a little bit of everything. It had Tegan fighting Cybermen again. It had Ace fighting Daleks with a baseball bat. It had 7-5. It had all the classic Doctors in that Memoryscape. I haven't spoken about that yet. You know, David Bradley, Colin Baker. Colin Baker in that bit was absolutely superb. It's like he went back into the 6th Doctor like that. And the thing is, if you listen to the audiobooks, which I'm currently going through in order with the TV show, I'm currently on the 6th Doctor, and I've forgotten her name. It's the Second World War companion, if you listen to Big Finish. And Mrs. Clark, that's the one, Mrs. Clark. And he's coming on towards just after trial and before his regeneration into Sylvester. And you can tell he's still got the oomph that he is the Doctor. And I just loved it. And the Paul McGann, I don't wear robes. And then Sylvester going, there's always one that has to be different. Pucker. You can tell some of the lining in this episode was going from one generation to the other, because you have some of the Chibnall clunkiness that works, but then you had the RTD excited, funny, and it was just like a perfect combination. You could tell that it'd obviously been in the planning for such a while, because we've waited over a year nearly for this episode, because it was supposed to be the finale for Flux, if I do remember rightly. But the fantastic thing is, Chibnall, fair play. I will say thank you for being showrunner, even though I have not agreed with your tenure, I've not agreed with your writing, I've not agreed with anything that you've done, except for probably Jodie being the Doctor. It will, this episode was an absolute G. It was a baller. It was out of the park, top tier Doctor Who. I think I've watched it about 20 times since it came out. My friend who isn't a Doctor Who fan, that was their introduction to Doctor Who, and they've watched it about 9 times. So if they're getting into it and I'm in love with it, it's perfect in every single conceivable way. When it comes to that, was it the quarks? Was it the actual energy that was running the cyber planet? Unreal. Absolutely unreal. I thought that was a beautiful bit of cinematography. A sentient energy that could run a planet and it could go anywhere. I thought that was a lovely bit of writing. I really did. But when it comes to one of my favourite bits of the episode also would be Ace parachuting into the TARDIS, because Mandip is flying the TARDIS. The other bit I've got to say shook me. I was scared. I didn't know where it was going to go. I was literally on the edge of my seat, and that was when the forced regeneration happened. Not going to lie, there were a few tears. I genuinely thought, oh, is that it? That's it, that's the end of the Doctor. So surely the Master's going to regenerate into Shooty or something of that ilk. And, there was going to be a mix of the Master and the Doctor going forward, because they said that the Doctor was never going to be the same again if you listened to the beginning of the BBC indent before the episode. But to see Sasha in, I think it was 12th Doctor's trousers, 11th Doctor's boots, Jodie's socks. I've watched it far too many times. We've got Sylvester's jumper, David's tie, Peter's shirt, Jodie's jacket, Tom's scarf, and Peter Davison's celery. Absolutely madness. It was madness. And when you see him step out the TARDIS, he goes, "I'm the Doctor and I did this." I was like, oh my god, we didn't even see what that was. I think that was one of the other downsides of the episode. We didn't see what he did. Could that be the consequences for the 60th? We don't know, do we? We don't know what the Master did. We don't know where he went. The only one that knows is Yaz. But when it comes to Vinda turning up in the episode, it was because it was Jodie's end of her era. Like, all of David's era people turned up. All the baddies turned up for Matt's. Everyone was there for Capaldi. It's got to be... Yeah, Vinda was a bit of a... If he wasn't there, we wouldn't have got the Doctor back. So it was nice to see him again, but I just didn't think there was a point of him being there, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's just... I think I've got such a bad taste with Flux. I think anything towards Flux... because there was only one person I think I genuinely enjoyed in that season, and I think it was Eustasis Jericho. Because I've watched Flux recently, again, before the Centenary. I watched the Eve of the Daleks and Legend of the Sea Devils, because is it Revolution or Eve? I cannot remember. Because I had to watch it to catch up with the current storyline again, because I did have a break from Modern Who, because I didn't see it improving, and I was really, really terrified for the Centenary. But knowing that RTD had a hand in the episode with Chibnall, it made the episode so much better. It really did. You could tell his touch was on it. You could tell from a country mile. When it comes towards, the end of the episode, and you see the Master control the sentient energy towards Jodie, I'm not going to lie, I had a few tears. I was just like, is that the way she's going to go? But she's just regenerated. And I was a little bit heartbroken to see her go like that. I thought maybe, the degeneration had been rejected, maybe, and that's how she was going to regenerate. I didn't see the sentient energy coming. I really didn't. And Yaz carried her back to the TARDIS. Pucker. Absolutely 5-star. I thought that was the perfect way for Yaz. She was a police officer. She protects the Doctor. She's in love with the Doctor. It was just a perfect all round. You didn't need Thasmin. The whole Thasmin thing, it wasn't needed. It was ended perfectly. It landed perfectly in that bit. The companion group, when Yaz gets dropped off, we saw Ian. I screamed at the telly. I couldn't believe Ian was there. He's 98 this year. The actor who portrays Ian, William Russell, I do believe. Wonderful, wonderful man. I couldn't believe that we had a 98-year-old William Russell sat at a table, and he goes, huh? He couldn't believe, because he never got to see regeneration, did he? Him, Barbara, they never got to see a regeneration. It was Ben and Polly, I do believe. They got to see the regeneration, which was it's such a shame that we don't get to see the original regeneration of William Hartnell because of the missing episodes, and the only way they could do it is through the David Bradley plus some of the original footage. But we saw Mel, we saw Joe. Who else did we see? Tegan was there, Ace was there, Yaz, Dan, Graham was there. Graham meeting Yaz was Graham meeting Ace was superb. Another bit, if I go back also a little bit, is when Seven was talking to Ace. Sylvester's speech to Ace was superb. Where Ace was, that literally, that touched me. It touched my soul. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful part of script. I thought that was superb. But yeah, going back to the group, we saw I don't think Joe Grant spoke much. Katie Manning, we could hear the laugh. We could hear that legendary laugh. We didn't hear much saying. I think she says we're going to be here for a long time. But yeah. But then we get to the Jodie regeneration. Beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful. Was that finale when she said, "I'm going to take you one more sunset." The whole ice cream with Yaz and everything. Oh, it was wonderful. It was this is probably the best regeneration story in Modern Who. I liked Tennant. That was up there. I liked Capaldi's, even though, I thought the speech went on a little bit longer than it should have. Matt Smith's breaks me. I stay away from Matt Smith's because he was my doctor, as you can tell above my head here. Jodie's was when she goes, "Tag, you're it." I was just like, that's so Jodie. It's unreal. That wasn't 13. That was Jodie. Tag, you're it. And I genuinely thought we were going to see Shooty. I'd actually put a bet with my friend that we were going to see Shooty, and it was going to be the multiverse Doctor for the 60th. No. David Tennant is the current incarnation of the Doctor for 2023. What? Had to do it, couldn't help myself. Madness. The clothes changed. I think the only time genuinely we've seen the clothes change for a Doctor was Hartnell into Troughton, which was 1 into 2. That was the first regeneration that we'd ever seen, which I thought was a lovely, lovely touch. But the centenary, the power of the Doctor, is getting an 8 out of 10 score for me. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved every minute of it. I really did. There was only a couple of bits that would either weren't needed or was just a little bit silly. But I've got to say, it was superb. It was superb. It was genuinely fantastic, and I loved it. It got a solid 8 out of 10 for me. My hero for the episode was Mandip Gill. I thought Yaz in this episode was absolutely fantastic, and I don't know wherever she goes to next, she has got the chops to do it, because we've seen it as fans. We've seen it. She needed a little bit more. She needed a solo focused story. She didn't get it in this story, but whatever she did well, whether it was flying the TARDIS, whether it was saving 13, whether it was teaming up with 13, helping 13, she did everything. She did absolutely everything. The interaction with Ace, do you want to get dropped into the middle of a volcano to stop lava from killing the Earth? And Ace just whips out that baseball bat. Wicked. And I thought, pucker. This episode genuinely filled this little Doctor Who fan full of love for the show again. And I can't thank it enough. So yeah, guys, that's my review for the Power of the Doctor. If you like what I do with the channel, hit that like button. And if you'd like to continue to support the channel, I'm hopefully going to hit 100 subscribers, I hope, before the new year. So if you want to help me out, hit that subscribe button, because there will be more videos coming up. There's going to be a few more videos today, as far as I know, because I'm catching up on some of the new era news. So keep an eye out for them. And have yourselves a wonderful day, guys.